Hey guys, how's it going today? So, as you all know by the title of the video, Andrew Tate got banned off of Instagram, and I want to talk about why I think that actually happened to him, as well as where Red Pill can go from here, and really what I think about Red Pill and what I think the most positive takes are from this, and how we can actually positively influence young men around the world in a healthy way, because there are a lot of issues with the way Andrew Tate propositioned this information, and I want to go over it a little bit. But I wanted to go into this video first, showing Fresh and Fit and Sneeko talking about some of the issues with what happened around his ban and why it is so much of an issue, especially in today's day and age.
And I get a message, a bunch of DMs from people saying, "Yo, Andrew Tate's been taken, accounts been taken down, blah blah blah." So I go and I look and I see, user not found, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I start, I get mad, and then Sneeko messages me shortly thereafter, "Hey man, did you hear Andrew's account got taken down? We should do an emergency meeting." I was like, "You know what, bro? That's a good idea. We should talk about this because if we don't speak for Andrew, no one else is really at this point, especially on YouTube that has a sizable audience. Because everyone, L3 right now did a podcast earlier. Andrew Tate is canceled. Lasan and all these other clowns, they're rejoicing right now. But this
by the way, quick before you, Lasanabi, fight me. Stop calling me an incel. Let's get in the ring. I know you got 70 pounds on me. Let's just fight it out like real men and not just talk in front of the camera all the time. Fight me. I know you won't, but I want everybody to see that you're gonna dodge it. Even though you got years on me, you got fucking 70 pounds on me. I don't give a fuck about no weight class. Let's box. Let's get in the ring. Sorry, Myron, continue.
There you go. Speaking of Lasan, he keeps saying that Fresh and Fit aren't relevant like that anymore.
So I watched the beginning of this already. They kind of just go over how Hassan and a few other of these big creators are really kind of doing them dirty, and in some ways they are really doing them dirty. I mean, they talk about the way that they feel, and they're not obligated to have conversations with Fresh and Fit or with Sneeko, but I believe if you're going to have this strong of an opinion, and especially with a comparable platform like Fresh and Fit, I mean, I think the other day when he was saying what he was saying about them, I think he had 20,000, 26,000 viewers, and Fresh and Fit had 23,000. It's about the exact same thing. So you can't use the fact that they're falling off or any of the other ridiculous notions that he's used in that way. The only issue I really have with Hassan at this point is he's just not willing to have conversation. And I think that keeping an echo chamber around yourself of like-minded people can be a positive thing in some ways, but when you influence so many people, I think it's good to have like healthy conversations. I'm not saying he needs to go into like full debate mode with Destiny and come out of that looking like a complete idiot, but maybe having like a conversation with somebody like Fresh and Fit, or with maybe not Sneeko because he's saying he wants to fight him, but with Fresh and Fit could be a positive thing, and we'd be able to find a good balance between the two, I think, if you're somebody that can actually listen to what's being said. So I'm going to skip ahead here and kind of get into some of the meat of it.
He's a socialist and he lives in $1 million house. L3 is a failed
services, so it sucks, bro. It really sucks.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, so I wake up this afternoon, right? Because I was up late researching for my other channel, and Sneeko hits me up, "Yo, we should do an emergency meeting on this." I was like, "Holy shit!" Did the research, saw that his account got taken down. I hit up Tristan immediately. I said, "Hey man, we stand by y'all. We're gonna, try to see what we can do behind the scenes." Making some phone calls, whatever may be behind the scenes, right? I'm not going to go into too much detail about what me and Fresh are doing, but obviously the Tate brothers are good friends of ours, so we're going to do everything we got to do to support them. So then I see, obviously, H3 talks about it. I see all these press releases. Oh, Andrew Tate got canceled, blah, 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 whatever. And this kind of stems from our conversation that we had last week, Sneeko, where we had an emergency meeting and we discussed this before, let's pull this up real quick, Mo. for the audience to kind of see, just give them a quick little reminder, right? Go down memory lane here last week when we talked about this shit, because we saw this coming.
Yeah.
So this fucking guy on Instagram, let's what's his account, Mo? Mo, pull it up. We're gonna pull up his Instagram for y'all right now. Okay. This dude right here.
For this guy.
Matt X IV.
Yo,
okay.
peep the He in bio. Queer Jew with very long nails. This is who could cancel. This is who decides what's deleted and what's not.
This is the guy that's behind the cancellation, okay, or at least had an aid in it.
A he queer Jew.
Yes, which is off his profile, by the way. Sneeko is not attacking him.
Nope, that's his bio. A he queer Jew.
It's right there.
For all
you
the
fucking queer. That's in the bio, so he's proud of that.
Yeah, he put that there. So
queer.
Scroll down real quick, Mo. Let's go ahead and show the original post. Mo, get in the game, baby. Get in the fucking game, man. Get in the game.
So I have a few issues with this in some ways, and personally, I believe everyone should be able to live the life that they want to. I think that is the American way, and having disagreements is an actual good thing, and being able to discuss those disagreements are actually a good thing as well. This is one of the things and values that I really stand behind Fresh and Fit and Sneeko on, is you should be able to have a real conversation with somebody you disagree with. And if you can't, you probably need to look inward a little bit and really evaluate yourself, because we can all sit here and make this as entertaining as possible. I could be screaming and talking about how crazy this shit is, but at the end of the day, I think if you were watching any of this, then you knew this was going to happen. Andrew Tate was definitely going to get banned, and I want to give a different take on this. There's a great reason why he actually got banned, so I want to give you guys a little bit of a different thing. Let's switch over to this. Andrew Tate, he got banned not because of the messages that he was sharing, because there's a lot of truth in what he was saying. Andrew Tate got banned because he did not emphasize the group of people that he needed to be emphasizing towards. I think we can all agree that a lot of the ideas behind Red Pill and a lot of the ideals behind the way that you act within this frame are positive things and help men out a lot. But the key word within that is men. 13-year-old boys growing into young teenagers and eventually manhood do not have the same lessons that need to be learned than after 18. And the lessons that they need are so much more different than that, because a 13-year-old boy who's coming into puberty and coming into the way that he looks at life is not going to have a good basis on rejection. I think a 13-year-old boy just needs to be able to face himself as far as the smaller things that you get as you're growing up as a young man. Rejection is so important. You need to have that happen to you. If you talk to a woman and she rejects you, you need to be able to have a healthy response to that, because that is the regular way within the world. And that's just one example of it. Whereas for adults, when I'm talking about 18 to 25, you might need to come into it a little bit more nuanced and be able to approach women with the confidence of already having dealt with rejection, already having dealt with going through the most intense stages of puberty, having already dealt with the microcosm of high school and the ways that those life lessons really hit you. And as a young man, when you do start taking women out on dates from the jobs that you have and having your own money, that's when I think some of the things that Andrew Tate talks about can be applicable. But the effect it will have on 13 to 17-year-olds specifically can be very, very negative. And that's why I think this needs to be handled with such care. There's different levels of advice for different age groups and different levels of advice for individuals. When you say certain things to someone my age, then I can read between the lines, and that's why I can say that some of the things Andrew Tate says are the most entertaining versions of saying those things. There is so much nuance between the lines that unless you've lived enough life, you're never going to be able to see those things. He is not a bad guy. He has a lot of good messages. And, becoming the best version of yourself as a young man is very important. When you are 18, 19, 20, you should be dating. You should have at least one relationship under your belt. And a relationship doesn't have to be a 3-year relationship at that point. A long-term relationship between 6 months to a year for an 18-year-old is a good place to start. I think that's a pretty healthy reference. And then as you get older, you take those experiences and transform them into the more positive versions of them of becoming a real man. And I think those are the values that you need to be able to take this to the next level. So I want to approach this, and I'm probably not going to even call this red pill at this point because it brings so much negative attention, but it is waking up to the reality. So at the end of the day, this is still red pill, but for the older men in here and around these topics, you need to be able to understand, really read between the lines. And for somebody Sneako's age, turning 24 years old, he's a very smart young man. He knows a lot more than he lets people see of him because, he's really blown up right now. And I understand getting caught up in that is probably a very, very energetic situation is what I'll say. There's probably a lot more to it than that, but let's just leave it at energetic. And so it leads him to pop off like this because it's such a toxic place, and I hate to even use the word toxic, but online fame can become so toxic when you are being goaded by people like this guy on the screen here. And I'm going to switch back over now for you guys. When you're seeing people like this on the screen and other people on Twitter who are really trying to show you that this is such a bigger issue than it really is, it really just came down to where you're pushing the message. 13-year-olds on TikTok can't use this information and come out on top with this. I mean, they have no job experience, they have no life experience, and they're just really coming into an age group where they're essentially just 13-year-old males are essentially just juiced out bodybuilders because the amount of testosterone and hormones going through their body at that age is just crazy. So it's so easy to fall down this trap and fall down this wormhole where you end up getting to a place where everyone within this field gets silenced. Andrew Tate was going to get silenced from the beginning, and Sneako might get silenced too, and Fresh and Fit might get silenced also. Now, I think Fresh and Fit probably will be one of the last to go if it does go that far, but I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope we can change the messages around this stuff and approach it from a little bit more of a nuanced viewpoint and a more nuanced lens, because I think we can really make good change for men around the world. But let's continue with this now.
Yes, click that one. All right, so this is where he this is the original one where we broke it down, and through these slideshows, if you guys watch our other episode that we did, we systematically debunked all of these stupid ass claims that he's making. So the first one, he goes, Fresh, can you read glasses?
Yeah, Andrew Tate is teaching young boys to be violent and misogynistic. It's time for social media platforms to do something against him. So basically speaking, he's saying that Andrew Tate's message is bad for people because young boys are going to be violent, which is not true at all. That is total cap right there. So either way, that's a lie. Secondly, he's an influencer and former kickboxer.
Enlarge it, Mo. You know how to do it. Enlarge it.
Yeah, and then they put a bunch of trigger words here: homophobic, misogynistic, and his videos have propelled him to global fame among young men and boys. He said that women are men's property and that great victims should bear some responsibility for their attacks. Last month, he was Googled more than Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian combined. So he's saying basically here that these terms are going to define Andrew, but that's not true at all. It's fake once again. And then regarding this one as well, he's saying that younger girls per se are way more better to date, and they've been through less men, of course. And that right there, guys, is true. So it's factual. It's not even like a cap there. Next one, Mo. And we debunked that also as well last week when we did that emergency interview as well. And then another one here is CPR. I mean, obviously speaking, you don't want to do CPR on someone.
These are all such like negligent viewpoints of the things that he said, and it's taking such little bits of context and really blowing it up to this level where it needs to be seen as something more dangerous than it is. But yeah, I think there's a better way of looking at this, and a better way to propel dating advice to men to make them the best versions of themselves. And I'll give an example right now. Most men nowadays, if they are out at the bar and they see a fight break out, usually only one or two people are going to try and stop that. And that is indicative of a larger problem. The problem with this is these one or two men that are willing to break up this fight are actually the same men that are going to stop a rape or stop a killing or stop terrible things from happening. The ones that are sitting there and they are frozen, they aren't going to do anything come time for those situations. And I know that personally. I've seen it happen too many times. And these are the values that we need to instill in young men. There is a difference between what people are calling toxic masculinity and actually just being masculine. If everybody turned into the people that this guy Matt 14 or XIV, whatever he goes by, and Hassan, if everybody was to turn into the version that they wanted to, I mean, it wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't work out. There's a difference between being okay with the American lifestyle that we have here as a whole, which really influences the rest of the world. And by that I mean the freedom of letting others practice what they want to practice. You can't be saying that you're okay with trans rights and everything that comes along with it, and then at the same time say that you can't talk about men being masculine. Like, you're a total hypocrite at that point. You stand for literally nothing. If I've heard Vosh say before that we're about to encounter trans genocide and trans people need to get guns and be able to defend themselves and blah, blah, blah. I don't really believe we're there yet or even close. But if something like that were to happen, you better believe, even though I personally am not trans and have any stake in that group personally, but if that were to happen, I would be there with them to help them, because as an American, the freedom to be able to do those things is more important to me than the disagreement I have with some of the smaller nuances in that argument. And that's the same thing here. Why are you not attacking this line like that we're looking at right now? Why are you not attacking the fact that Andrew Tate said he wouldn't perform CPR on a man because that would be gay? Like, that's stupid as fuck. Like, just be a good person. Like, that's dumb, but that is not representative of what the whole picture is here. The whole picture here is that men really are having a hard time right now because the majority right now is telling men the exact opposite in most regards on what they really need to do. So we need to really come back to the base here and allow men to be masculine and teach them the difference between good and bad things. And although still, even after teaching them the right things, even if we had most of the men doing right things, we're still going to have bad things happening around us. Just like we still have bad things happening within the gay community, we still have bad things happening within the trans community, we still have bad things happening with the African American community, and just like every other community, there will always be a small percentage of bad things that happen within these groups. None of these things will ever come out clean. But the difference here is being able to protect the American way of life so that we can all live those ideals out to become the best versions that we need to become in the future. You can't just be a high value man of money. You need to become a high value man of ideals and values. That is the most important thing. That is what really matters.
Someone that's a guy is obviously speaking as a guy. You don't want to do that. It's
That's
kind of
kind of
weird.
queer.
So I get what he's saying here. It's funny, but it is some truth to it. Nothing crazy here
This
at
is
all.
a satirical piece that he did from Tate's speech like a year or two ago, right? This is a joke, obviously. And then continue on. But underneath the absurdity of Andrew Tate are the darker, more insidious consequences of the influence he has on young boys. Andrew Tate, not just another edgy misogynist on the internet. He's also one in real life. He's been under investigation for sex trafficking and grape in Romania, where he lives. In one video, explained that 40% of his reason for moving to Romania was because Romanian police were less likely to pursue sexual assault allegations than police in the U.S. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say misinformation. No, they go there because they run their business out of Romania, guys, and he was falsely accused of a crime in the UK that he was able to beat. And then as far as like this sex trafficking investigation that you're fucking talking about, this has been debunked a million times over. The girl was never kidnapped. She went there of her own accord. She was at a party. There's video of her ordering a pizza, going in and out of the mansion. It's just that she was cheating on her boyfriend, having sex with Tristan, and she did not want to admit that she was cheating on her boyfriend. So she went ahead and told her boyfriend, oh, I'm here against my will. And when the police went and did their investigation, because they had to do an investigation because Interpol was involved, guess what happened? They found no criminal activity was done. Trust me, guys, they would love to arrest the Tate brothers, but they couldn't do it. Why? Because it was clearly proven that this girl was lying. Oh, women! Oh, believe all women, right? Just like we heard with Amber Heard and fucking Johnny Depp. Women lie, guys, all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, it happens all the fucking time, and especially when she has a boyfriend, a serious boyfriend in another country that she should be telling the truth about what the fuck she's doing in Romania. Of course, she's gonna say I was held against my will, but in the reality was she was cheating on her boyfriend, and she did not want to admit that and look like a hoe. That's the cold hard reality. But no one wants to understand these uncomfortable truths, man. Nobody does. It's believe all fucking women. It's a clown world.
People with queer blue checks in the comment section right now, all these verified accounts saying the right thing. It's cool to just hate this guy. People don't care about freedom of speech anymore. People want you to be deleted. They'll all echo this bullshit cancel culture. Everybody. This is mainstream. This is regular now. This is what you're supposed to be doing. They feel a sense of moral justice by saying, despicable and vile. Fuck off, Mark Jacobs. I don't even know who the fuck you are.
There was no fact checks here at all. Like, it's not true. So they just ran with it because it sounds good to them.
Because it sounds good.
Because they said they can't.
So as you guys can see here, you need to read further from the headlines in every case. It's super important. The trafficking case is a perfect example of that. And when you look further into it, you can clearly see there's a different narrative behind what the title is. And it just really shows you. Guys, I think that we definitely need to stay on top of this type of stuff. Stop canceling people for having different opinions than you. And if somebody really is doing a harm, try having a conversation first. Stop holding back or being scared of what these things might do, especially if you're a larger creator. If you're a large content creator that opposes these kind of views, you almost have an obligation to your audience to actually sit down and try to have a conversation with these people and try to say at least the things that you believe are wrong with what they're saying, and at least push back a little bit. Because if you can get a better version and a better understanding of that person, and if you can, even if you change them by 1%, that 1% might be enough to take out some of the harm from the harm that you think they are saying. And maybe the message they can give out can be a little bit more positive. But if you're unwilling to engage with this at all, and you're just calling to, get rid of them altogether, like you're no better than anyone in history that we look back on and say, those were terrible people. They wouldn't even allow any sense of freedom. They wouldn't even allow the people that are different, which is what I hate to say right and left, but that the left is supposedly protecting, are these marginalized groups that have never had a voice in history, which is extremely important. But if you are somebody big enough that you represent a huge group of these people, you owe it to those group of people to help them, but you also owe it to those group of people to be the spokesperson of that side to actually go out and do something. You can't just sit there within your echo chamber and not say a word. And if the only things you're saying are just your own narratives of the fact of the matter, then you yourself are just as liable for the harm that's being done, because you can actually make a difference there.
Cancel words, misogynist, homophobic, blah, 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 blah. They're famous. Everyone knows where they are. They would be in jail if they were human traffickers. It's that simple, you fucking idiots.
Very true. Well, you had some?
Yeah, man. So it's apparent that like no matter what you do, they'll find whatever they can to bring you down, and also they control the media. So this means if they control the media, they control the actual narrative. And right here, guys, we can see in plain sight, they took information that was false, put it as truth on the platforms that are real, and made it something that is not. So real talk, man. I mean, Andrew's innocent here. They're just trying to paint him in a bad light. And honestly speaking, bro, like this guy has no facts at all.
Yeah. The property thing is, like I said, you look at religious texts, that's just how it is, bro.
Yeah.
If women want marriage, they got to deal with what comes with marriage. You know what I'm saying? But again, this goes back to what I've said before. Modern day women want all the benefits of conservative traditionalism without paying the costs of said conservative traditionalism. They want to still be independent women while being able to take a strong man's last name. It doesn't fucking work that way. Okay? That's the reality for you weird liberal retards out there. It doesn't go that way. Pick and choose one. You want to be empowered? Fantastic. Be empowered and be by yourself with your fucking cat and dogs and get used as a cum dumpster for a high value guy. Whatever. Or be a submissive woman, understand that there's roles in a relationship, and be the dutiful wife to your husband that the religious text says all the time, and regardless of religion. That's the way it's been since the beginning of time. He's not saying anything new. It's just that we conveniently forget these, conservative traditional things because it doesn't fit the narrative of strong, empowered women. It doesn't work that way.
And I want to show it. The reason that they banned him.
So the reason why I just showed this here is there's something very important he said, and I know he is emotionally flared up right now with the fact that he has just witnessed Andrew Tate get banned for this, and it's a sad situation, but I know he believes more what Andrew Tate says as far as regarding this, and this is one of the nuances that I want to make everyone aware of. There's always going to be a dominant person in the relationship, and for a lot of relationships, that can be the woman. And that's okay. If that person is okay with that, that is okay. Now, for Andrew Tate and for these people, that is not the best way. They don't see that as being the best way. But for a lot of people, their girlfriend or their wife can be the one in control of the situation. And maybe for some men, that works out better. Maybe for some men, it really does. I'm not saying one or the other. If you're happy with the situation you're in, I don't think I have a right to tell you not to do it, or that you shouldn't do it. But there are some roles as men that we need to be able to perform in. Protection being, probably number one on the list, or as close to number one as it could be. And if you can't fulfill the roles as a man that you need to, the bare minimum, then you're really going to put yourself into a bad situation. Now, guys, I didn't really want to make this a super long video, but it is a more serious video because there are a lot of issues with that and issues with the way this is being handled. I want to be able to come back and talk more with a lot of you about this in the future, and I hope we can have more clear and concise conversation. And like I always say, if anybody ever wants to talk and have a conversation in regards to most topics, I am totally willing to go ahead and do that. And if it's a topic I don't know, I will do the research to be able to match you and meet you halfway. Also, if you see this content and you think I would be a good conversation with anyone else or a good debate, I always love a good argument. So please share my content. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I really want to grow and be able to, share my views with others and also make a better world for some of the men that are suffering from mental health issues, and maybe try to help people in general, men and women, make a better place for everybody, but also reinvigorate some of the fire that's been left to fizzle out for young men nowadays. Now, hey guys, have a great day. Please check out the video. Please don't forget to subscribe. I know I said that twice, but it really is important. I want to be able to get into some of these groups and talk to some of these people eventually. And as we hit some of those milestones from the first video I talked about, I want to go in further and talk about how you can build yourself up online. All right.